Destiny 2 is a great game, and I highly recommend it to everyone, but that doesn't mean it's without its flaws. In today's video, I'm going to be going over 5 things I hate about Destiny 2 that I really think Bungie should look at and fix in the near future.
Think you should,
Up first, we have a topic that you may have already heard about, shaders. Unlike Destiny 1, Destiny 2 shaders, the things that change the color of your gear, are single use, which means if you want some pretty epic shaders, you're gonna need to go through strikes and raids multiple times if you really want enough to match. Now, the official statement made by Bungie was that you're supposed to just be, shaders out of your ass. You've got so many of them that it won't even be a big deal. Don't worry about it. You'll have enough to not have to worry about it. But this raises a few questions. One, why would you make it that way? If you're going to be flush with shaders anyway, like they say you will be, why not just make them single use and a little bit more rare on the drop? That seems to make more sense. And the answer to that is quite simply microtransactions. People want shaders and they know that it might be more difficult to get a single shader than it's worth. You might have to go through a raid or a strike to get that last shader you need to complete your gear. And so they're like, all right, I'll just throw in a microtransaction, buy the shader, and let that be that. It's not expensive, it's just one shader. And over time for Bungie, that will add up and make them money. But this isn't a good business model. Destiny 2 is a $60 game, and a lot of people paid for like the super premium edition, which is $90, and there's one above that's even higher, $100. We shouldn't have little microtransactions like this. The game already has DLC that comes out that they're making big profit off of, and a lot of people have already put a lot of money into the game. So having this feature isn't really fair, in my opinion, to full-paying players, which is what we all are at the current point in time. We all paid at least $60 to play this game. We shouldn't have to pay more. Now, furthermore, another reason I hate this is because it actually does the opposite of what Bungie wants it to do. This is from a comment on Reddit. I'll link it down below. Basically, what it says is, if you get a shader that's really cool and it's very rare, instead of just, using it because you get so many, you're just going to stockpile it and hold it in your inventory because once you use it, it's gone, and you're never really going to want to use it, so it'll just sit there and do nothing. And that's no good, that's no fun, that's just stupid and poor game design, in my opinion. I really think they should just revert shaders back to the way they were in Destiny 1. I'm positive it can be done, and I think it would be much better for the game. The next thing I hate about Destiny 2 is the inability to select certain game modes individually. Strikes are the biggest one. If you want to play a strike, you just have to select strikes, and hopefully you get the one you want. It's kind of a randomized thing, and it's a little bit frustrating. If you want to do a certain strike, there's no way to say, this is the strike I want to do, let's go do it. It's more randomized, which is good in some ways. It prevents you from grinding easy strikes, that much is true, and it can also help if the game has low population and there aren't many people that want to do the same strike as you, but both of those problems can be remedied in better ways. For one, the game does not have low population. It's very popular, and there should be really no struggle with getting enough players to do every strike with more than a few minutes of wait, which isn't really unreasonable. And in regards to the spamming easy strikes, there are other ways you can go about fixing that as well. Limiting rewards, or the amount of times you can get the maximum reward for a strike. Maybe make it so there's different difficulties, and once you do a difficulty, until you do a harder difficulty, you won't get good gear from it again, and make things like that. These are features that existed in Destiny 1 that they could definitely tune and change and repurpose for Destiny 2, and I think it would work much better than a sort of randomized selector for strikes. And it also happens in Crucible as well, but this one, Crucible is not as annoying. It's still a little bit annoying, but PvP game modes in a lot of games have a sort of randomized feel to them, or map picker for them, so that one isn't as annoying. But the strikes, I feel like, should be able to be selected individually. The third thing I dislike about Destiny 2, this one isn't as much of a hate, it's more of a dislike, is the lack of features on your minimap and your map in-game. And there's a few examples I have for this. The first one being the inability to see your teammates on your map is a little annoying. It should definitely be a feature. It's a feature in like every single game that has a map that also has teammates, so I think that should be definitely looked into. And on top of that, I think there should be some, team features on the map you should be able to do. Maybe put pinpoints down that everyone can see, like points of interest. Drawing tools, I'm not sure if that would be possible on the console version. It probably would be, but it'd be cool, at least on PC, maybe, if they had like drawing tools to draw on the map. Just little quality of life things for the map, because right now it's pretty bland and basic, and I think it could use a little bit of tuning and work. This next one may be a little nitpicky, you may think it is, but it happens so often that I really do think it should be reworked, and it would be super easy to do so. What I'm talking about is when you use your super. Instead of the game putting you back on the weapon you were using before, it just puts you back onto your primary weapon. If you were using that, great, but if you were using a kinetic weapon or your power weapon, it won't put you back on that, which is a little bit annoying because sometimes you pop your super, you do some damage, or depending on which class you're playing, you do something different, and then you expect your weapon you had to come back out in your hand, but it's not. It's something else. You gotta switch, and it's annoying. It sounds like a nitpick, but you use your super enough in this game to where it's something that should definitely be changed, and most people would agree with me. My final gripe, my final hatred is probably the biggest problem with Destiny 2. It's crazy. It's game-breaking. Are you ready for it? You can no longer honk when you're on a Sparrow. What? Bungie, the whole shaders thing and the strikes, that was fine, but now you're taking it too far. I can't honk on my Sparrow anymore. That's it. I'm just gonna go play Warframe. Destiny 2, Destiny 2 is a good game. If on my list of 5 things I hate, no honking on a Sparrow is one of them. And you may ask why I made this video then. And the real point is to A, highlight how great of a game Destiny 2 is, and B, maybe just talk about some things that I do think should be looked at to make the game even greater. If you guys agree or you have anything else you'd like to add, be sure to leave them down in the comments, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys all later. Have a good one. Lone Hawk out.